Glenn Kirshner, all the stuff the House Democrats are getting, Deutsche Bank records from Trump, documents related to the Trump Hotel, Don McGahn's testimony, is justice going to come in any of these cases? All the FEC stuff that they had to drop, Stormy Daniels, is justice coming around all these things? What's going to happen with all that?
It is. We're not necessarily going to be seeing criminal charges for every crime Trump and company committed, but we're going to see, look, you can only confine a man for but one life, and Donald Trump will be charged in a court of law. I predict both federal court and at least one state court, hopefully more. But use the McGahn thing as an example, Steph. You know, Congress had been fighting for a couple of years to get Don McGahn, former White House counsel, under oath so he could testify about Donald Trump's obvious felony obstruction of justice. For God's sakes, he told Don McGahn, fire special counsel Mueller because he's investigating me. McGahn said, I'm not going to do it. And then Trump said, well, then lie about it and create false documents.
Justice is coming. I love you, Glenn Kirshner. If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean, it is. We have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word, and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Seska. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com.
Hello,
Look
Ms.
at
Miller.
you giant name dropper. You posted a picture of you hugging your mom, who is Carol Burnett, for the first time and going to dinner. How was that?
It was lovely. What I love about some of the people on Twitter, like about maybe 24,
right?
Your mom looks an awful lot like Carol Burnett.
Right. Yeah. You're like, wait, if I get a vaccine, do I get a dinner with Carol Burnett? They probably think it's it's the California lottery, like Ohio's doing their lottery. They're like, oh, I get a shot. I have dinner with Carol Burnett. That's fantastic.
No, my mom actually did get somebody in a ladies' room years ago. She's washing her hands, and this woman kept just staring at her in the mirror. And she finally said, you know, you look an awful lot like Carol Burnett.
Yeah.
And my mom turns to her. She goes, yeah, I get that a lot.
That happened to me exactly once, Jody, since I am not Carol Burnett. But once when I had my late night show, someone was staring at me at an ice cream shop. He's like, has anyone told you look a lot like Stephanie Miller? I was like, yes. But that only happened once. And then, of course, my show was canceled. And I have, how many Emmys did your mom have?
7.
Okay, so I have 7 less Emmys and 1 canceled TV show. So but it happened once. So that was fun. Jody.
Well, at least they didn't mistake you for Danny Bonaducci.
True.
No, that's never happened. If I dyed my hair red, the odds are pretty good. But okay. Jody, what do you think about the fact that, because as your mom, Carol Burnett, knows, it was 5 years ago that she said she thought I was 35 when she met me for the first time here. You brought her in. You guys did Happy Hour. So your mom knows that I will be turning 40 in September. And this news that the vaccine might bring your period back. So I could, Jody, don't look down. I could conceivably get married and have children now. I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Steph store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it. Get your face
Look at that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all Team Vaccine here. We have amazing.
That's right.
And you can get it on everything. Right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art, a clock. You can get
Duvet.
a selfie bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have Sexy Liberal swag. And, of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now. StephanieMiller.com. Whee!
Hi, Steffi. I just noticed that, and I don't mean to call you out. I went to adjust my seat like this.
Yes.
And I think you thought I was kissing the camera and you threw one at me, which was really cute.
Oh. No, I did that completely unprovoked, as you know. Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
You know what?
Yes.
I don't drink alcohol.
You do that
I don't drink
sometimes.
alcohol anymore, but lockdown just, it serves as the same thing. Makes me incredibly
Perfect.
clingy and needy and overly affectionate.
Randy.
That
Randy.
speech,
Right?
that speech that you just played was just glorious.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Senator Tim Ryan, Senator Val Demings, there's a lot of very exciting things. Convict Donald Trump, convict Rudy Giuliani, Matt Gaetz. It's all very
What's
exciting.
that criminal case? What? I would have loved to have had, and
I called him the
would
C
have
word.
loved if there had been a camera on Mary Trump's face when they announced that it was a criminal case. Because she had to have it's about.
I was
time.
just going to ask you. You're good friends with Mary. Have you talked to her since the criminal?
Well, she was in flight yesterday, a well-deserved vacation. So she just landed yesterday. So I texted her, but she had not responded.
Okay. Oh my God, no. She must be like most of us that care about. I mean, the thing you forget, Dana, is like as they're going through this stuff, you're like, he's always been a crook. Letitia James already busted his charity, his university. He's always been a fraud. This is not the
And
first
Letitia
time.
James would not go to the mat on a criminal case if she did not have evidence. She just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be this aggressive, this public about it if they didn't have the good. And then the new news that they are personally investigating Alan Weisselberg in addition to his role with Trump. I mean, they are clamping the screws, man, and it is.
Oh, it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
It is wonderful.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw Suzanne Craig last night, who obviously Mary Trump, supplied a lot of the information, the Pulitzer Prize winning work they've done. It's just, it's the thing. People feel like they're taking crazy pills that have known this for years. He has always been a criminal. And it's just, he has a lifetime of karma coming to him, doesn't he?
And it's a slow rollout, and people just need to be patient. They get one shot at this guy. That's what we have to remember. You get one real shot at this guy, and they're not going to let that go. They have to have it right, because otherwise he will get away. We've seen it before. So I'm okay with him taking a little more time.
Yeah. Well, I was concerned about fashion as someone that is obviously notoriously well dressed every day. Is it two different jumpsuits from Georgia and New York, and do you wear one over the other?
That's a good question.
Is it concurrent?
I think the one in Georgia is definitely orange because, Georgia peach orange. So that one's definitely orange. I'm not sure about
risk
New York.
of escape, all orange. I'm just saying they need to be careful.
And doesn't look good on Ivanka's skin. Have you seen Ivanka in orange? No, because it doesn't look good on her skin.
Okay. Yeah, that's what the latest Michael Cohen said. Did you see that? That he said everyone's talking about who's going to flip on Trump. He said, I think he's going to flip on his children, on everybody. Because that's who he is. Right? It's always someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. His whole life, right?
Yeah, I don't know about the daughter wife, but I bet the two sons will go down for sure.
Yeah. Well, I said as long as they grant Ivanka conjugal visits, he'll be okay with her.
Yeah.
Also going in the hole. Okay. Oh, by the way, can I have 13? What is the deal with just wildly nepotistic, completely unqualified candidates? Andy Giuliani, what is he 35?
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. This is what he is.
He's 30. Yeah.
He's 35.
Oh, he's 35. And he said, I've been in public, I've been in public for 5 decades. What, when he was 3? What? No, he hasn't. This would be when he was 3, and he was an annoying child.
Decades. Well, no, if he's 35, 5 decades would have been when he was still sperm.
Yeah, not good.
That's not even a statement that makes sense.
Not good at math. Here he is.
From an experience perspective, I may be 35 years old, but you got to remember, I spent 32 years, parts of 32 years in politics and in government. I'm the only announced candidate that actually has spent parts of 5 decades in politics. So I may look young, but I certainly feel a lot older.
I may look young, but I'm certainly dumb at math. Keep going.
If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean, we have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word, and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Seska. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com.
Hey, Steph, how are you?
Hi, good morning. Do you agree with the banner that flew over the courthouse that said TikTok, Matt Gaetz, or what do we think?
Oh, yeah. Justice is coming for Matt Gaetz. No two ways about it.
Well, you have been breaking it down. You said Matt Gaetz' comments over the weekend, for instance, could be taken as an admission of guilt. I mean, he also won't shut up, which I know defense attorneys love, right?
Yeah. And when he called underage sex trafficking naughty favors, I wish that were a separately chargeable crime, because that's obscene. They were sex trafficking in children, which is made clear in the Greenberg plea agreement. And, there is going to be hell to pay for these men.
Glenn, you said a majority of the plea agreement contains hard corroboration of the crimes of not only Joel Greenberg, but the crimes of others, adding the prosecution has laid out some really troubling crimes. I think one of the most ominous features of this plea agreement, he pled guilty to a charge for conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States. You said you have co-conspirators, because that's a requirement under the law of conspiracy, that you agreed with one or more persons to commit these crimes against the United States. You said, so we already know by virtue of this plea, there are co-conspirators who are likely to be indicted and held accountable. We just don't know quite who they are. And you said, who can he implicate beyond Matt Gaetz? Will Stone, DeSantis will know soon enough. What is your thinking on that?
Yeah, so I've spent a lot of quality time with the 86-page plea agreement. And as you just mentioned, 60 pages of it are receipts, hard corroboration of what Greenberg did and what others did. But those others have not yet been named yet. But, it hasn't gotten a lot of attention that the sixth charge, the last charge that he pled guilty to, is a conspiracy to commit offenses against the United States. Pretty dramatic. Now, it's a very broad statute, and it can include all sorts of criminal conduct. But the thing is, the prosecutors know who all of these members of that particular conspiracy are. But they had to wait until Joel Greenberg pleaded guilty in order to indict those people. Why is that? Because before Joel Greenberg pleaded guilty yesterday, everything Joel Greenberg said to the prosecutors about the crimes of others was all hearsay. It couldn't be used until Joel Greenberg pleaded guilty, which extinguishes his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. Now, I'm telling you, he was a huge domino to fall, even though he's not a huge name, because now the prosecutors have available all of his information, all 60 pages, and I'm sure there's 600 pages more that we don't know about, implicating other bigger fish. So those dominoes are all going to begin to knock one another over.
Why is Joel Greenberg's lawyer a grandstanding D, in your opinion? Why is he being too cute by half? Like, what? It's just,
I assume it's because he's getting his 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But you have to take this stuff with a level of seriousness when you're talking again about child sex trafficking. And if you read these 60 pages, Joel Greenberg is one despicable character. As a prosecutor, I would never put him on the stand unless I could corroborate every single word he told me about the crimes of others. If he testifies that his name is Joel Micah Greenberg, I want to see his driver's license with Micah being his middle name.
Yeah. But as you were saying, I mean, normally, you don't get it. When you are a prosecutor, you don't give a plea deal like this unless he has given up someone above him and it's corroborated, correct?
This is a shooter on the grassy knoll plea agreement. So, Steph, I've entered into more plea agreements with defendants who wanted to be cooperating witnesses than perhaps anybody, given the unique nature of our practice in the criminal courts of Washington, D.C., where I spent decades. I never drafted an 86-page plea and cooperation agreement, and I certainly never offered somebody, you know what? I know we've got you indicted for 33 felony counts. If you'll just plead to 6, we'll get rid of 27. I'm telling you, he had to not only give up blockbuster information about bigger fish, but the prosecutors had to be satisfied that it was truthful and that it was provable. It was corroborated. So I'm telling you, hold on tight, because the justice we've all been waiting for it is about to start coming. It
Yep.
really is.
That's the little thrill up my leg I wait for, Wiggling Kirshner. Now, let's talk about Rudy, now that I'm all excited. You said it will take time for the searches of Rudy electronic devices to be completed and the materials reviewed by a special master filter team to make sure prosecutors protect legitimately privileged attorney-client materials. Prosecutors take that responsibility deadly seriously. Is it as hilarious to you as it was to me that Rudy seeks to... Okay. He opened a broad attack on the searches that they conducted of his home, his office, and his iCloud, asking the judge to block any review of the seized records while his lawyers determine whether there was a legitimate basis for the warrants. His lawyers are seeking copies of the confidential government documents that detail the basis for the search warrants, a legal launch shock that they hope could open the door for them to argue the evidence should be suppressed. They said it would have been more appropriate and less invasive to seek information through a subpoena, which, unlike a warrant, would have given him the opportunity to review the documents and respond. Justice Department policy recommends prosecutors use subpoenas when seeking information from lawyers unless there's a concern about destruction of evidence, which tells me they were concerned Rudy Giuliani was going to destroy the evidence, which is why they did it, right? I mean, so Rudy's like, oh, no, can I just see all the stuff first? And then, I mean, that's just, you don't do that, right? With
no, Rudy,
defendants? Go ahead.
Rudy made up all of these new legal standards and legal procedures and requirements before search warrants will issue. I urge people not to listen to any of this nonsense Rudy Giuliani is spouting out there. You know, he's a man circling the drain and he's looking for something to grab onto. But, you know, we could do a whole criminal law 101 class taking down every assertion Rudy made about search warrants and how they're obtained, how they're executed. But he's making up all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what makes me happiest right now is that he's looking for a lifeline from Donald Trump, and not just a financial lifeline, because we know Donald Trump stiffed him on his legal fees, but he's also looking for Trump to swoop in and say, all of that stuff that Rudy was doing in Ukraine, he was doing it for me, and Trump won't go there.
Yes.
Why? Because that would be Trump announcing that, by the way, I'm guilty as a co-conspirator of everything Rudy did in Ukraine. And it's crazy because he did it for Donald Trump, and now Trump won't even vouch for it. Rudy is done.
I mean, does he not get that Trump has thrown everyone under the bus and of course was going to... I mean, the headline is Rudy Giuliani desperately begging Trump to help as the feds close in and is being ignored. I mean, this strikes me like the Michael Cohen headlines right before he flipped. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's... Giuliani and his allies have been sending frantic pleas for help after the FBI raid. Trump, however, has refused to come to Giuliani's rescue. I mean, which has led to simmering frustrations. I mean, do you think Giuliani's going to flip? It doesn't sound to me like he's going to have any choice.
Yeah, he's going to go the same way Michael Cohen ended up going. You know, Michael put up a good fight for a while, and then he started talking about Trump's crimes and shenanigans. Rudy's going to go the same way because, listen, at the end of the day, Rudy is all about Rudy just as much as Trump is all about Trump. So Rudy's going to do what he needs to do to stay out of prison as best he can.
I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Step store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it. Get your face
Look at that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all Team Vaccine here. We have amazing.
That's right.
And you can get it on everything. Right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art, a clock. You can get
Duvet.
a sexy bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have sexy liberal swag. And, of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now. StephanieMiller.com. Whee!
There it is.
Oh, you're drinking.
I'm having a full chug of Schadenfreude right now.
I mean,
I'm dehydrated from the Schadenfreude and deliciousness of it all. You know?
I mean, go your thoughts. Just go.
Schadenfreude is like doing a marathon in heaven, right? And and so you got to stay hydrated, you know, with champagne. Hard liquor.
Malcolm,
So,
I was thinking of you because of all your books on all the original treason and Russia and all of this. is that, people reminding us yesterday that Mueller didn't go near his financials. And this is where all of, no wonder he's been fighting so hard to keep his financial records, Mazars, Deutsche Bank, and tax returns, right, hidden.
Of course. I mean, the man was is a pathological liar. So if you don't think that his pathological lying extended all the way back to when he was selling apartment buildings to Russians, right? Declaring that those apartment buildings or condominiums or whatever they were worth, X amount of dollars, and then going back and reporting to the IRS that they were actually worth a fraction of that, and pocketing the tax money that he should have paid and saved, and then selling those structures to Russians and other unsavory people, then you don't know Donald Trump. I mean, everyone who has ever met this man, guys we know, David K. Johnson, and others who know him very well, right? Anthony Scaramucci, Michael Cohen. They say he's a thief.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, he steals things.
Yeah.
And what he steals is, first he steals your confidence because he's a confidence man. He's a trickster. And then he robs your pocket.
Right.
Okay. I mean, this whole scam of his, all right, was to create the aura and the image of a rich billionaire. And now we're going to find out just what he's really worth. The reason he didn't want anyone to know about what kind of money he was into or what kind of deals he were in, because fundamentally he was pulling the full Paul Manafort. He was not paying taxes. He was a tax cheat.
Yeah.
And now Letitia James has gone from, a civil probe to a criminal probe of the entire Trump organization, which is where all this money came from, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't some small charity. This is his entire empire is now under criminal investigation. Mm-hmm. And so, as you said, they never investigated his financial ties in the Mueller report, or whether he had connections to the mafia, the Russian mafia of New York City, or whether he had ties to Russian and oligarchs, or even the Soviet government when he was back in Moscow in 1988. No one ever investigated that. In the same way, no one ever investigated if he was in debt personally, psychologically, or physically to Vladimir Putin. But now we're going to find out the money part of this story. And there is nothing that makes Donald Trump cry like someone looking into his spiderweb-filled wallet.
Well, I mean, it struck me as you were saying, stealing is what he's always done, right up to stealing the 2016 election and his attempt to steal 2020, and to even now to steal it back. Chris just said he was on OAN this morning talking about, not about being under criminal investigation, of course, but the disclosed to finding the fraud in the election. I mean, no wonder he is still so desperate to try to either steal it, overturn it. I mean, because this is all happening now, isn't it? What he has always feared.
Well, what was said in the run-up to the 2020 election? The only thing keeping Donald Trump out of a prison was the office of the presidency and control of a Justice Department that was misinterpreting that a president of the United States couldn't be indicted. Therefore, everyone was waiting for him to get outside of the Oval Office so he could be indicted. Well, that wish of many people is coming true. But to Donald Trump, it's his worst nightmare. Look, Letitia James, I'm in New York State. Letitia James is not going to go and say, I'm going to look at one transaction. She obviously has already found information that links them to being a continuous criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
So she may have found one thread, but at the end of that thread is an entire, wool sweater of criminality, which all you got to do is pull it and you find out that, Donald Trump had stolen the wool, right? Had used slave labor to put it all together, and that he was pocketing profits that he should have rightly, now here's my favorite part, not just been taxed by the United States government, but he defrauded likely the state of New York out of quite possibly hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and they want their money.
Yes.
I know, because I got some checks here this year. They don't play games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Okay. So yeah, and obviously we have Georgia. He's already under criminal investigation there. I mean, we've got the Gates, the Giuliani thing. We've got. I mean, there's so much literally going on at once. I mean, you have to wonder what. And now, of course, everyone's talking about his kids. Do you think his kids are going to go down in this? Are they going to flip? Like it's just so delicious.
Of course, because their kids are the Trump organization. Right? Isn't it Don Jr. who's actually leading the Trump enterprise as it exists right now?
I think it's. I thought it was Mastermind Eric. I thought it was
Eric.
Yeah.
I can never tell these two apart, right? I mean, it's like dual Freddos.
Yeah.
Yes. You could replace one for the other. So my point is, they were all in the publicity material. They were all paid employees of the Trump organization. And I read yesterday that a brilliant tweet that said that Donald Trump is likely going to be taken down by two women.
Yes.
One being Attorney General Letitia James, and the other one is Julie Weisselberg, the wife of his chief accountant.
Yeah.
Who, as we understand, had a very contentious divorce and took cases of documents with her.
Daughter-in-law, I believe. It's his daughter.
Was it daughter-in-law? I'm sorry.
Yeah, former daughter-in-law.
Good enough for government work, right?
Yeah.
All I know is that, they are going to rue the day where every person they ever crossed is going to drop dimes. These people are going to throw quarters. Okay, they are going to beg.
Rolls
They're
of quarters
sit outside in a conga line of the Attorney General's office and cop to the mildest plea deeds you ever had. Right? They're going to have to, as restitution. Many of these people will have to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and distribute them to the poor on street corners. After dropping dimes on Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that's how lenient the Attorney General is going to go, because this may be a massive scheme. What if we find, this is all conjecture on my part, what if we find that this was a pyramid scheme?
Yeah.
What if we find that this was, that he was actually scamming not just the state of New York, but virtually every individual he was in contact with?
Yeah.
What if there are direct ties to the Russian mafia, which, by the way, was the specialty area, okay, the Schadenfreude is so sweet that I can barely remember anything anymore, right? The chief FBI counterintelligence officer, who he tore down almost nonstop during the campaign there. The guy was the master of the Russian mafia in New York City. Right. So Donald Trump right now can do nothing but beg the governor of Florida not to ship him up to New York to face indictments. And I'm afraid to say Letitia James is not the kind of person who will allow Donald Trump to quietly come to Bedminster, shuttle over in a limousine with the Secret Service, and then quietly, have an indictment read to him and then go back to New Jersey. I have a feeling, and this is where, Trump supporters have been waiting around for what they call the storm, right? Where liberals are supposed to be arrested by the thousands. I'm afraid to say that this may, in fact, be the one thing many people have been waiting for. And that is that he will be forced to go with his Secret Service detail through public. With his lawyers to go into a courtroom and face an indictment.